Hello everyone, now let us discuss about drugs affecting the RAS system, part 1. In the current session, we will be focusing on the classification and specifically on ACE inhibitors. Coming to the classification, the drugs which affect the renin-angiotensin system are, the first one are ACE inhibitors, next are angiotensin receptor blockers, next are direct renin inhibitors, next aldosterone antagonist, and finally sympathetic blockers. So examples of ACE inhibitors are captopril, enalapril and lisinopril. In the current session, we will be focusing on ACE inhibitors. The next are angiotensin receptor blockers. Examples are losartan, candesartan and valsartan. The direct renin inhibitor is alcikiran and the aldosterone antagonist is spironolactone. And sympathetic blockers are beta blockers, adrenergic neuron blockers and central sympathetolytics. Now coming to ACE inhibitors. The ACE inhibitors, they mainly possess the cardiorenal effects such as vasodilation, decrease in blood volume, depression of sympathetic activity and inhibition of cardiac and vascular hypertrophy. The vasodilation effect of ACE inhibitors is achieved by reducing the arterial and venous pressure and by reducing the ventricular afterload. And they also achieve decrease in blood volume, especially by natriuretic and diuretic effect. And they cause depression of sympathetic activity. And finally, they inhibit the cardiac and vascular hypertrophy. Coming to the vasodilation action, they dilate the arteries and veins by blocking angiotensin II formation. ACE inhibitors, they dilate arteries and veins by blocking angiotensin II formation. Angiotensin II, it constricts the arteries and veins by binding to angiotensin I receptors which are located on the smooth muscle and by inhibiting bradykinin mechanism. ACE is the enzyme which breaks down the bradykinin, which is a vasodilator peptide. So ACE inhibitors, they block the breakdown of bradykinin and increase its levels and contribute to the vasodilator action. This vasodilation of ACE inhibitors, it reduces the arterial pressure and preload and afterload on the heart. Now coming to the next effect, that is decrease in blood volume. They promote the renal excretion of sodium and water, that is nothing but natriuretic and diuretic effect, by blocking the effect of angiotensin II on kidney and further blocks the aldosterone secretion. So this reduces the blood volume, arterial and venous pressure. Coming to the next effect, that is depression of sympathetic activity. Angiotensin II, it facilitates the release of norepinephrine from sympathetic adrenergic nerve endings and it inhibits any reuptake by these nerves. So it augments the sympathetic activity on heart and blood vessels. So the ACE inhibitors, they downregulate the sympathetic adrenergic activity. That is nothing but they depress the sympathetic activity on heart and blood vessels. And finally, they inhibit cardiac and vascular hypertrophy. The ACE inhibitors, they inhibit the cardiac and vascular remodeling associated with chronic hypertension, heart failure and myocardial infarction. Coming to the uses of ACE inhibitors, the first use is hypertension. They are the first line of drugs for all grades of hypertension. Antihypertensive effect develops gradually with low doses in about 2 to 3 weeks. And they reduce the cardiovascular morbidity and increase the life expectancy of hypertensive patients. They are drug of choice in renovascular and resistant hypertension and they are suitable for diabetic hypertensive patients and as they reduce the cardiovascular complications. Coming to the benefits of ACE inhibitors, the various benefits are, first one, they are free of postural hypotension, electrolyte disturbances and feeling of weakness and CNS effect. They can be given for asthmatic, diabetic and peripheral vascular disease patients. The long-term therapy, they reduce the incidence of type 2 diabetes in high-risk subjects. The renal blood flow is also maintained. And secondary hyperaldosteronism and potassium loss due to diuretics can be prevented by the use of ACE inhibitors. And LVH and increased wall to lumen ratio of blood vessels in hypertensive patients is reversed by the use of AC inhibitors, and they have no hyperuricemia, no deleterious effect on the plasma lipid profile. And by the withdrawal of AC inhibitors, there is no rebound of hypertension, and they cause minimum worsening of quality of life. These are some of the therapeutic benefits of ACE inhibitors. Coming to the next use, that is congestive heart failure. The ACE inhibitors, they cause arterial and vasodilation in congestive heart failure patients, and they reduce the afterload as well as preload. The stroke volume, cardiac output are increased, and the heart rate is decreased. They also cause improved renal perfusion and abolition of mineralocorticoid mediated sodium retention. They even retard the progression of LVS dysfunction, left ventricle dysfunction, and the mortality is reduced to 20% in symptomatic congestive heart failure patients. By the use of AC inhibitors, the mortality is reduced to 20%, and they can be given with diuretic and beta blockers. Indirect benefits occur due to reduction in sympathetic activity and also the aldosterone levels. These are some of the benefits that the AC inhibitors provide in congestive heart failure patients. Next use is myocardial infarction. The oral AC inhibitors administered while myocardial infarction is evolving, that is within 24 hours of attack, and continued for 6 weeks to reduce the early as well as long-term mortality. Efforts of survival benefits in high-risk patients with latent or overt ventricular dysfunction are seen by the use of AC inhibitors. And in case of unstable angina and non-ST segment elevated myocardial infarction, the long-term therapy reduces the recurrence of myocardial infarction. But AC inhibitors, they do not provide any benefits in short-term use, and they benefit for those having associated hypertension and diabetes. Coming to the next use, the AC inhibitors are used in prophylaxis of cardiovascular risk subjects. They reduce the cardiac death and myocardial infarction. They reduce the risk of developing heart failure and diabetes, and they have a protective action in high risk patients where there is no associated hypertension or left ventricular dysfunction. They have a protective effect on myocardium as well as vasculature. Coming to the next use, that is diabetic nephropathy. Prolonged therapy prevents or delays the end-stage renal disease. By the use of AC inhibitors, especially in diabetic nephropathic patients, prolonged therapy prevents or delays the end-stage renal disease in both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And in case of treated patients, albuminuria remains stable and they have higher creatinine clearance and require less dialysis, and there is high life expectancy. They even reduce the intraglomerular pressure and hyperfiltration. All patients with diabetes nephropathy, whether hypertensive or non-hypertensive, they deserve a AC inhibitor. AC inhibitors also have deleterious effect on retinopathy in diabetes. They can also be used to treat the retinopathy. Coming to the use of AC inhibitors in non-diabetic nephropathy. So chronic renal failure due to non-diabetic nephropathy or non-diabetic causes is improved by AC inhibitors. Because of their altered membrane permeability, decrease in the pressure gradient across the glomerular capillaries, they reduce the proteinuria. They even retard the progression of disease. And in hypertensive nephropathic patients, incidence of doubling of serum creatinine or in case of end-stage renal failure is lowered in those treated with AC inhibitors other than those with other antihypertensive drugs. Incidence of doubling of serum creatinine in hypertensive nephropathy patients and also in case of end-stage renal failure patients is lowered by ACE inhibitors. The next use is scleroderma crisis. Rise in BP and deterioration of renal function in scleroderma crisis is mediated by angiotensin II. And the AC inhibitors, they produce dramatic improvement and are life-saving drugs in this condition. Coming to the adverse effects, the first one is hypotension. Sharp fall in BP in diuretic as well as congestive heart failure patients. And persistent hypotension is troublesome in myocardial infarction. Persistent hypotension is troublesome in patients who have myocardial infarction. The next adverse effect is hyperkalemia. Due to aldosterone suppression, patients with impaired renal function and those taking potassium-sparing diuretics, NSAIDs or beta blockers. In all these cases, hyperkalemia is seen by the use of ACE inhibitors. The next common cause is cough, caused by the inhibition of bradykinin and substance P breakdown in the lungs of susceptible individuals. In 10 to 16% patients, within 1 to 8 weeks, cough is seen and it requires discontinuation of drug. Next are rashes or urticaria. They occur in about 1 to 4% of the patients. And one more very important side effects of AC inhibitors is AC inhibitor induced angioedema. Swelling around the mouth, nose, throat, glottis, lips in about 0.1 to 0.5 patients is seen. It is also attributed to bradykinin accumulation. It can be life-threatening due to airway swelling and obstruction, and it usually develops within first few hours after initiation of therapy. The next is dysgeusia, reversible loss or alteration of taste sensation may be due to captopril. Headache, dizziness, nausea, bowel upset are seen in 1 to 4% of the patients. Coming to the next side effect, it is fetopathic or teratogenic. The fetal growth retardation, hypoplasia of organs and fetal death may occur if AC inhibitors are given in later half of the pregnancy. And 2.5 folds higher malformation rate in fetus is seen if they are exposed to AC inhibitors in the first trimester. So these drugs must be stopped after conceiving. The next side effect is granulocytopenia and proteinuria. It is rare, but it might warrant withdrawal. Renal disease predisposes these effects. The granulocytopenia and proteinuria are mainly predisposed in patients who have existing renal disease. The next one is acute renal failure. It is precipitated in patients with bilateral renal artery stenosis due to fall in glomerular filtration rate. Coming to the drug interactions of AC inhibitors. The AC inhibitors, when given along with diuretics, they have a synergistic hypotensive action. So in that case, the dose of AC inhibitors must be reduced. The next interaction is AC inhibitors plus indomethacin or other NSAIDs. They attenuate the hypotensive action by retaining salt and water. And AC inhibitors, whenever they are given along with diuretics and NSAIDs, they may precipitate renal failure. They may cause or precipitate renal failure. Hence, such kind of combinations must be avoided. And whenever AC inhibitors, when they are given with potassium supplements or potassium sparing diuretics, they may cause hyperkalemia. And whenever captopril is administered along with antacids, the bioavailability of captopril is reduced. Coming to the comparative study of some ACE inhibitors. Let us discuss the chemical nature, activity status, bioavailability, time of peak action, elimination half-life, mode of excretion, duration of action and daily dose of some of the ACE inhibitors. The first one is captopril. The chemical nature is it is sulfhydryl and it is active. It is not a prodrug. Captopril is orally active. Bioavailability is 70%. The time to reach peak plasma action is 1 hour and the elimination half-life is 2 hours. The mode of excretion is renal. Duration of action is 6 to 12 hours and the daily dose is given in 25 to 150 mg. Coming to the next drug, it is enalapril. Chemical nature is carboxyl. It is a prodrug. Bioavailability is 50%. Peak action is reached within 4 to 6 hours. Elimination half-life is 11 hours. Mode of excretion is renal and duration of action is up to 24 hours. The daily dose are 2.5 to 4 mg. The next drug is lisinopril. The chemical nature is carboxyl. It is orally active. Bioavailability is 25%. Peak plasma action is seen in 6 to 8 hours. Elimination half-life is 12 hours. Mode of excretion is renal and the duration of action is greater than 24 hours. The daily doses are, it is given in 5 to 40 mg. The next drug is fosinopril. It is a phosphate. Chemical nature is phosphate and it is a prodrug. Fosinopril is a prodrug. Bioavailability is 30% and peak action is reached within 3 to 5 hours. Elimination half-life is 12 hours and the mode of excretion is renal or hepatic. Duration of action is 24 hours. Daily doses are, they range from 10 to 40 mg. The next drug is perindopril. The chemical nature is carboxyl. It is a prodrug and the bioavailability is 30 to 50% and peak plasma action is seen in 6 hours. Elimination half-life is 25 to 30 hours. The mode of excretion is renal. Duration of action is greater than 24 hours. The daily doses are given in the range of 2 to 8 mg. The next drug is ramipril. The chemical nature is carboxyl and it is a prodrug. Bioavailability is 60%. Time to reach peak action is 3 to 6 hours. Elimination half-life is 8 to 18 hours. Mode of excretion is renal and duration of action is greater than 24 hours and the daily doses are given in the range of 1.25 to 10 mg. Coming to the next drug, it is quinapril. The chemical nature is carboxyl. It is a prodrug. Bioavailability is 50 to 80%. Time for peak is 2 hours. Peak action is 2 hours. Elimination half-life is 2 to 24 hours. The mode of excretion is renal or hepatic. Duration of action is 24 hours and the daily dose are given in the range of 10 to 40 mg. The next drug is trandalopril. The chemical nature is carboxyl and it is a prodrug. Bioavailability is 40 to 50% and the time to reach peak action is 4 to 6 hours and the elimination half-life is 10 to 24 hours. The mode of excretion is renal and duration of action is 24 hours and the daily doses are given in the range of 2 to 4 mg. The next drug is imidacloprid. The chemical nature is carboxyl. It is a prodrug. Bioavailability is 40% and the time to reach peak action is 6 to 8 hours and the elimination half-life is greater than 24 hours. The mode of action is renal or mode of excretion is renal or hepatic and the duration of action is greater than 24 hours and the daily doses are given in the range of 5 to 10 mg. The next drug is benazepril. The chemical nature is non-sulfhydryl. It is a prodrug. The bioavailability is 35% and the time to reach peak plasma concentration or peak action is 0.5 to 1.5 hours. Elimination half-life is 10 to 12 hours. Mode of excretion is renal and the duration of action is 24 hours and the daily doses are given in the range of 20 to 40 mg. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for further videos on pharmacology and other related pharmaceutical sciences.